Good morning, and welcome to today's debate between the Young Democratic Socialists and the Young Republicans. I'm Mr. Hirons, the moderator. The questions that will provide much of the structure of today's debate were composed with much input from both sides. We'll begin with team introductions in the first topic momentarily, but before we do that, we would like all participants and spectators to maintain the following level of decorum at all times. First, we ask that the participants would refrain from interrupting the opposing team when they are speaking, and that they would abide by the time constraints agreed to by both sides and enforced by our timekeeper, Andrew Duffy. Additionally, we also ask that the audience refrain from yelling comments or clapping during the debate. There will be time at the end of the debate to recognize all those who participated, so we ask that you would save your applause for the appropriate time. With that, let's go ahead and get started. Each side will have a few minutes for introductions, and we will begin with the Young Democratic Socialists.
I'm not going to use the microphone just because I don't like microphones and I can speak loud enough. Hey, how's everyone doing today?
Yeah.
I'm going to first start off by introducing all the members of the Young Democratic Socialist panel for debating today. If they would please stand, state their name, do their thing. First we have Mia Duncan. So, Mia, do you want to...
I'm Mia Duncan. I'm really awkward and speak quickly, and I'm also co-president. So, get ready. Get ready.
Next we have Lee Thomas. And we have Hannah Hall. And last but certainly not least, we have Ellie Bartlett. Yes, so we have a lot of fantastic people out here. We have Mr. Hirons, the moderator, so let's all give him another round of applause.
Oh, yeah.
And a big solid for Andrew Duffy. Today's debate isn't necessarily about conflicting ideologies or conflicting ideas. This is going to provide a space to encourage or fight back political apathy in our generation. Teenagers, predominantly our generation, has a reluctancy towards the establishment of politics and politics in general. Hopefully today we will create a space to not only talk about issues that are a problem in our society today, but just issues in general, regardless of whether they have one stance on it or we have another. I'm going to now go on to talk about democratic socialism and our group as a whole. Democratic socialism is not communism. It's not the Red Scare all over again, and Bernie Sanders isn't a bastion for totalitarian regimes. It's not an adherence to Maoist or Stalinist ideologies. If anything, it encourages egalitarian approaches to social issues. Fiscal democratic socialism provides a distribution of wealth between the 1% and the 99%. It encourages subsidies, it encourages renewable energy, and it approaches economics from not necessarily a post-Keynesian ideology, an idea that we do need to regulate the economy, but we don't need to allow corporations to be the main stakeholders in the system. Not only that, one of the main proponents of democratic socialism as a whole is the idea that there should be equality. A basic idea of democracy that has seemed to have been lost through the capitalistic systems that we've established in our society today. The idea that there is true representation in politics, that there can be true representation in politics, and that you should have a voice regardless of your gender, religious ideals, race ideas, or any appearance that people use to denote you or as a pejorative in our society today. With that being said, we are an ideology of ideas, of rational thinking, and not of oppression. Thank you.
Good morning. I would like to thank everyone for taking the time out of your seminars to attend this debate. I would also like to thank Mr. Hirons for agreeing to be our moderator, Dr. Dane for letting us use the auditorium. My name is Joe Petty. I'm the president of the KSMS Young Republicans Club. Skylar Rudy, our vice president. Riley Buckley, our treasurer. Our two public relations officials, Grant Holtrich and Brady Anderson. The The hope and change the Obama administration promised the American people was a strung-out list of broken promises and lies, which has brought our great nation to a crossroads. One path, the conservative path, leads back to American exceptionalism, common sense, and prosperity for the American people. The other path, the socialist path, will surely result in inefficient government programs, government overreach, and the minimizing of our constitutional rights. America doesn't need another liberal, and surely not a socialist. What America needs is a strong conservative leader. The great Ronald Reagan once said, the most terrifying words in the English language are, "I'm from the government, but I'm here to help. Thank you. Make South great again."
Our first topic is immigration reform, and the Young Republicans will be answering first. Congress has long considered implementing comprehensive immigration reform. In your opinion, what are the components of an effective comprehensive immigration reform package?
According to Homeland Security, there are currently 11.4 million illegal immigrants in the United States. One of those immigrants is named Francisco Sanchez, a man who earlier this year opened fire on a crowd of people and murdered a U.S. citizen named Kate Steinle. This tragedy could have been prevented if the U.S. government had a more stringent immigration policy. The first step would be securing high traffic points on the Mexican border. This would prevent more illegals and drugs from entering our country. We understand that a wall is not economically feasible and is not in any way a part of an ACT immigration reform package. The next step would be the further implementation of a biometric identification system, or DNA and fingerprint database, that would help accurately identify immigrants. This would prevent deportees or criminals from reobtaining a visa or re-entering our country. The third step would be the implementation of a tracking system, which would allow ICE to easily find and deport any immigrant who overstays their visa. Next, immigrants should possess desirable skills that would contribute to the American economy. This would ensure that Mexico is sitting their best. Finally, the adjustment of the 14th Amendment to prevent children of illegal immigrants from receiving citizenship. A staggering 7.5% of all births in the United States are to illegal immigrants. That's more than 300,000 babies each year. 300,000 illegal immigrant births are paid for by the American taxpayer. And then, the parents of these new American citizens use them to escape deportation. Amnesty would only encourage this activity and reward people who have broken our laws. Thank you.
Petty's speech really corresponds well with traditional ideology and leading arguments against immigration from GOP candidates like Ben Carson, Jeb Bush, Carly Fiorina, and the infamous Donald Trump. Their immigration reform ideas can all be coupled into similar proposals of limiting the number of legal immigrants coming into the U.S. through any means necessary. Definitely the most contentious immigration reform policy that has come out is the Great Wall of Trump. It's composed of three main ideas. One, creating a wall as a border our southern states. Two, strictly enforcing constitutional laws. And three, creating an immigration plan that includes jobs, wages, and security for American citizens. Putting my personal opinions of Donald Trump and his hair aside, there are definitely a lot of problems with his plan. The infeasible idea of immediately deporting undocumented workers will cost millions. He wants Mexico to pay for the wall, which has the potential of ruining our relations with that country and ruining the economy of the country that we need for commercial exchanges. He wants to triple the number of ICE officers that help protect their borders, which will be an unnecessary strain on our economy. Additionally, he wants to end birthright citizenship, which is a violation of a constitutional right. Changes to our immigration system are necessary for increased economic growth, better humanitarian aid, and improved humanitarian model for other countries, and as a basis for sustainable growth. A comprehensive immigration reform would be composed of a facilitated path to citizenship, support of the DREAM Act, which is an act that supports a path toward permanent residency for young undocumented workers, visa reform, expanded deportation relief, and border security. The current framework for citizenship in the U.S. is abysmal. Applicants are not only faced with civics tests, pointed questions from federal officials, a multi-part employment-based application process, but also with fees that run from $5,000 to $15,000. A practical path to citizenship wouldn't include such debilitating and tedious hurdles. A better provided path to citizenship would be responsible for $560 billion in higher GDP, $321 billion in additional income, $75 billion more taxes paid, and an estimated of 820,000 more jobs for U.S. workers. The current process of obtaining a visa exploits workers for cheap foreign labor. It is unacceptable that undocumented workers are forced to live in unspeakable and inhumane conditions originally cheated out of wages, held captive for employers who seized their documents, and denied benefits for on-the-job injuries. Instead, we should make the process of obtaining a visa easier and the constraints for the time allotted in the country more flexible. We need to stop viewing immigration as a problem. The problem is the system that values and exploits human beings. The problem is the existing system that places such detrimental and crippling hurdles in obtaining citizenship that illegally immigrating here seems to be worth the trouble. Immigration creates more jobs, opens more opportunities, generates more economic revenue, makes the country more productive, makes our economy more flexible, and offers a mix of cultural benefits. Thanks.
First off, we have no intentions of a wall of any sort. And illegal immigrants actually cost $113 billion annually to house here in America. I didn't know when it became a right of everyone in the entire world to be an American citizen. We're not violating their human rights. We're simply preventing cartel members, drug dealers, criminals, and murderers like Francisco Sanchez from entering our country and hurting the ones you love. Thank you.
Our next question deals with the economy, and the Young Democratic Socialists will be the first to speak on it. Currently, the national debt is approximately $18.5 trillion and is increasing daily. What is the best approach to tackling the national debt without harming the economy?
$18.5 trillion in just 15 years. To start off, about $6 trillion of our debt is due to the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan. We currently spend almost as much as the entire world combined on defense. In the Pentagon, it consumes over half of our discretionary budget. We could cut $100 billion per year and still have the strongest military in the world, but we don't really need it. We don't do anyone any good. This money is needed to combat a bigger problem of our budget. Fair taxing is also crucial. The wealthy in our nation have found ways around paying their dues. In Kansas, businesses don't have to pay taxes, and the corporate tax havens cost the U.S. $100 billion per year. It is also essential to tax Wall Street, religious institutions, and fossil fuel companies, because these three sectors alone would raise hundreds of billions a year. As for the wealthy individuals in this country, we need to cut Bush's tax for the top 2%, and in turn establish a progressive estate tax on inherited wealth of more than $3.5 million. While the affluent in this country are not paying their share, millions of Americans are struggling to stay on their feet. The income gap is the largest it has been since the 1920s, and action needs to be taken to help the 98%. We need to create more jobs and raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour. Now on to something a bit different, weed. Everyone thinks that legalization of weed is a selfish topic, but will actually stimulate our economy. Not only will legalizing weed cut down on law enforcement spending, but it will also reduce prison costs. About 1 in 4 Americans in prison are there due to nonviolent drug crimes, a lot for weed. Not only would these people be out of prison, but they would also have jobs help further provoke further economic improvement. The biggest benefit of legalizing weed, however, is the tax revenue gains. In 2014, Colorado raised over $60 million in tax and licensing revenue. Imagine the economic boom that would take place if that profit was extended to all 50 states. Imagine the improvements we could achieve by putting all of these ideas into practice. Massive.
Audience members, I'm Bradley Buckley, the proud treasurer here of the Young Republicans Club at Shawnee South. As many of you know, our economy is horrible, and it is still plummeting daily. Sitting at over $18.4 trillion in debt, and Obama being a problem to that skyrocket is a huge issue. Prior to his reaching the White House, the U.S. was sitting at about $11.3 trillion nationally in debt. This meaning he has added more than any president ever. Bush added approximately $5.84 trillion. Obama, over almost $7.1 trillion. There are a multitude of ways to turn this economy around. From the point of no return, which is estimated at $24 trillion, which is also only $5.6 trillion away, we need to make a stand now. First, we need to begin by balancing the budget. To balance the budget, we need to cut spending on a range of governmentally funded programs. These programs could include, but are not limited to, benefits to illegal immigrants and restructuring Medicare and Medicaid. Obamacare, for example, cost Americans over $500 billion in 2014 alone. While in 1987, Reagan's health care plan would have cost a mere $147 billion in today's money. Obamacare has been labeled successful. Reagan's plan was just as successful and covers the same vital components that Obamacare covers today. Thus, this would save the American government almost 4/5 the cost that Obama spent. Illegal immigration, clearly another hot topic through every debate that's been going on. It costs Americans $400 to $600 billion over 20 years to remove illegal immigrants currently living in the United States. While that number may seem enormous, illegal immigrants cost Americans $113 billion annually to live here. To put that in perspective, it would cost anywhere from $20 billion to $30 billion yearly to remove illegal immigrants compared to that $113 billion they already cost us. Plus, nearly 70% of illegal immigrant families rely on government-supported welfare programs that comes from our tax money. By cutting some of these welfare programs and they're spending about $1.5 trillion over 10 years, $150 billion a year, we open up an easy, efficient way of helping trim the national debt. Second, we need to begin limiting our ties to China. With the Chinese economy that is stumbling, the United States being deep in debt to them, approximately $1.24 trillion to be exact, we need to become more self-sufficient and less reliant on China. Granted, they're one of our biggest importers. The Chinese government is starting to tank. Over the summer, China experienced one of its greatest stock market crashes ever. That may seem irrelevant to us here, but it was labeled as almost $4 trillion in U.S. money that was lost. Some may ask how this would affect us, but it's also caused the great crash in America's largest stock, the Dow Jones. The Dow Jones fell tremendously afterwards. How much? 1,000 points. This is the largest drop in its history, and it's been around for over 119 years. That means it lasted through the Great Depression and didn't even drop this much. Also, by cutting ties with China, we bring a massive amount of jobs back here in America, thus stimulating the economy and putting more in spending here in America where it belongs. We need to bring everything back to America and let us thrive here right in the beautiful United States of America. The U.S. economy is heavily relying on China, and that needs to come to a halt now. Thank you for giving me time to make South great again.
Friendly reminder, let's save the applause for the end of the debate.
Alright, let's just start off with the fact that our economy isn't horrible. It's the lowest that it's been since Obama was in office. In August, we added 700,000 jobs to the economy, and the tech sector is as high as it will ever be. The only reason it was so bad was because Bush got us there in the first place. Second, Obama isn't bad. I don't know what this whole demonizing Obama mentality is, but it's non-existent. Only Republican pundits will claim that. Let's go into this whole methodology that the Republicans love to cling to. First, they say that we need a balanced budget, but the American budget has never been balanced. Ever since history, the only time there was a surplus was when Clinton was in office, and it stood at $236 billion. Last time I checked, Clinton was blue, not red. Furthermore, Reagan didn't get anything. His healthcare plan failed, and furthermore, all he got were some all he gave was some cocaine to African Americans and some guns to some Contras in Central America. The indictments are staggering, and the fact that they claim Reagan was amazing as he was is just ridiculous and ludicrous. Finally, China is one of their major proponents. First, they say that we should cut our ties to China, but I'd like them to articulate a transition. How would we legitimately cut our ties to China? Second, nobody in America would want to work the jobs that the Chinese people are doing. If anybody, it's the immigrants that are doing those jobs right now that they love to also demonize and want to kick out of our country. Furthermore, they say that the U.S. needs these jobs, but we can't physically do that.
Our next topic is healthcare, and this is one the young Republicans will be answering first.
Hello everyone, I'm Brady Anderson, PR.
In 2010, the 138th Congress enacted the Affordable Care Act, yet many Americans continue to be divided over the issue of health care reform. What changes, if any, should be made to the Affordable Care Act?
The Affordable Care Act, also known as Obamacare, is broken. It's wrong and it needs to be done away with. We are $18.5 trillion in debt and it's getting worse every single day. Obamacare cost $500 billion alone in 2014. So we need to fix it. And if the Republicans were to fix it, we would do it by creating a patient-centered healthcare system, which is based in free markets, creating competition, and driving healthcare costs down. We believe that a healthcare system that is run by the government will reduce both the efficiency and the standard of care, as well as compromise the patient-doctor relationship that the Republican Obamacare system has caused. The Obamacare Act has caused the price of healthcare to rise 30% for small businesses alone from the 5 to 10% that have been in the past years. This is driving the price up and allowing individuals to pay no premium on the healthcare and still receive benefits and service when they get sick. This just doesn't seem fair. We also believe that the current malpractice laws actually encourage healthcare providers to conceal simple and innocent mistakes due to the risk of trial lawyers vilifying these mistakes if they are revealed and taken to court. So we must require full transparency in all healthcare. Everyone in this audience knows exactly how much a Chipotle burrito costs. Does anyone know how much it costs to have your appendix taken out? No. We need full transparency in all healthcare.
On the other side of the issue, I believe that the Affordable Care Act is only one small step towards an ideal health system for America. Although millions of Americans do benefit from Obamacare, many still suffer from being either uninsured or underinsured. In 2014, the average family of 4 with insurance paid $23,215 on health care. That's almost twice as much per capita as the people of any other nation. We are the only developed country in the world that does not provide health care to its citizens as a right, and to make it worse, the cost of our health care is continually rising. A solution to this problem is a single-payer healthcare system, a system in which a single-payer agency, like the government, organizes healthcare financing, but the delivery of care remains largely in private hands. The U.S. residents would be covered for all medical expenses, and 95% of the citizens would save money. Some of you might ask where the money will come from. Well, the answer is relatively simple: taxation based solely on annual income. Many people think that taxation is a scary word, but they're not facing the fact that by cutting the administrative waste of some 1,300 private health insurers and reducing the pharmaceutical prices to European levels, $592 billion could be saved annually. That's enough to cover all of the Americans who are uninsured and upgrade benefits to all other Americans. Another improvement to Obamacare would be to require vaccinations on a national level. Vaccines are proven to be successful in 90 to 100% of children, but people have developed radical opinions against them. Let me make this clear. There's absolutely no tie between autism and vaccinations, yet this is the highest used excuse against getting your child vaccinated. As a result, millions of children are being made susceptible to deadly but completely preventable diseases. Lastly, abortion. Let me first say one thing. Abortion is a basic health right. Just as cancer treatment and emergency care, women should have the right to safe and legal abortion care. Women's reproductive rights should be protected in all alterations to the Affordable Care Act, but a single-payer healthcare system will allow for more affordable opportunities. I find it extremely hypocritical that people believe that government action against abortion is necessary, but that government action in our healthcare system is ludicrous. Currently in our country, women are being criticized for taking control of their own lives, and citizens are not being able to afford basic health services. One last thing. You men in this room have no right to tell a woman what she can and cannot do with her body. You don't have a uterus, you don't have a say. As a nation, the decision should stay in the hands of the woman, her family, and the physician, not the government. Our country was supposed to be built on freedom and equality, but I guess equality in healthcare is only for upper-class males, and it saddens me to no end. We have so many opportunities to improve healthcare in this country, but action needs to be taken now. We need to take a stand against these injustices.
One minute.
In the United States, if you kill someone that's pregnant, it's a double murder. You are tried as a double murder. But abortion's legal? I don't see the difference. Does anyone else in here see the difference?
Yes, I do.
I'd like to protect the rights of the unborn baby that doesn't have the choice. You say if you don't have a uterus, you don't have a say. So the dad doesn't have a say in this? And it hits his baby too. It's an equal opportunity partnership when you get married and when you have a baby. So But we're done on that topic. Obamacare is wrong. We need to do away with it. We're already $18.5 trillion in debt, and they're taxing the 1% to take more money away. I thought this was an equal opportunity place. We need to tax everyone, not just the 1%. And that's where most of the money's coming from. Thanks.
Our next topic is the environment. In recent years, polling has shown that younger voters especially are increasingly concerned about climate change. What approach, if any, to climate change should the U.S. government take?
Okay, first off, let's establish that climate change is real and anthropogenic. The UN Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change came out with a report about how global warming will affect everyone on the planet, and every single scientist was in agreement that warming is real and that humans are the cause. As one of the countries with the most carbon emissions in the world, it is extremely important that we take climate change seriously. We need strong policies that will curtail our emissions and move us in the direction of clean, sustainable energy. First, carbon cap taxes should be put in place to encourage the reduction of carbon emissions. This costs nothing to the government and private businesses won't suffer. Clean energy becomes affordable as it becomes more common and the long-term risks greatly outweigh the short-term losses. And second, we need federal subsidies. The government has been subsidizing alternative energies and it has been working. Solar becomes cheaper and more accessible for the majority of American citizens. Money is a small price to pay when we're paying for our Earth. And we could just take like a little money from the enormous military and then it wouldn't be a problem. We could also stop spending billions of dollars every year trying to combat marijuana. Having money isn't the problem, it's deciding how to allocate it. As a country, we need to decide if we care more about saving the environment or things like Jeb Bush smoking weed in his basement. If we don't take these necessary steps, climate change will become not only an existential threat for the United States, but for the entire world. Ice caps are melting, species are dying, the ocean is undergoing rapid acidification, and we're losing biodiversity. Sporadic weather patterns are becoming more and more common. This causes forest fires, severe weather, crop failure, and famine. Many conservatives say that moving to clean energy would cost too much money, but in the end, the government will have to pay for the results, and that'll cost more than addressing the problem in the first place. And we also have to think about other countries. Countries in sub-Saharan Africa and Latin America will likely be the most effective, but they can't address climate change the way we can because they're still developing nations and they don't contribute to the problem nearly as much as we do. Finally, fossil fuels aren't sustainable. Eventually, they will run out, and when they do, we need to be prepared. We are currently dependent on other countries for energy to keep the U.S. running. That affects our foreign policy, it gets us into wars, and it isn't something that we can maintain. Our only option is to transition to clean energy, and we need to do it now.
Anthropocentric. Everyone here is anthropocentric. You're all humans. You all want what's best for the human race. Climate change policy not only should not and will not jeopardize the well-being of the American people. People are the most valuable resource, and human health and safety are crucial to an apt environmental policy, which should maximize collective goods, such as clean air and water, while not damaging economic development or private property rights. And all of the above energy policy, striving for energy independence, which encourages research and development, exploration, production, transportation, and consumption in a way that is economically sound and job creating, while still keeping the environment in mind. Our current president has declared war on the coal industry, destroying jobs and causing Americans to pay more and more for their energy. There's currently no cost-effective substitute for coal. Coal is a chief domestic abundant energy source with more than 200 years left. And it is a fossil fuel, and it will run out. However, we have 200 years left, so we might as well use it. EPA is currently unchecked and preventing states from utilizing their natural resources. If this is not an example of unhealthy federal government overreach, I don't know what is. And finally, we must understand the U.S. is one country, in a world where many countries care little about the world's environment and climate change as a whole. Countries like China will lead the world in emissions and pollution. China will not risk damaging their economy by imposing stringent environmental regulations. So why should we impose standards that damage our economy and do little to help the global problem of climate change? Environmental regulations simply do more harm than good. Sorry, Al, that's the real inconvenient truth.